Welcome to all folks racing PlayStation. Welcome back to the Transatlantic Cup with the Ginetta G40. This is round 3 out of 5, and today we are at Oulton Park International, another UK circuit after the last round in Donington and the opening round, which was, I can't remember where it was, the opening round of this thing. It was another British circuit, surely, and definitely a lot of close racing involved in this particular competition. It was Brands Hatch. Now I remember those races. They were great. The second round in Donington was absolutely insane. And today we are at Oulton Park, another narrow, short track that should provide some good racing. And again, we have 14 drivers in this race, and Jorge Jesus is the man on pole position, followed by Diogo Silva, Del Teller, hoping for a good continuation of this championship after a poor start, alongside Darren Head on second row. Third row, it's Scott Davely and Rob Oldham. Fourth row, it's Jambo and Peter Adrian. Fifth row, John Scott and Sid. That is a rookie in this series and doing quite well. He's starting 10th, but surely he can do better in the race. Sixth row is Kev Allen. We're expecting him to be a little bit further up alongside Gonçalo Mota. And the last row, it's Todd Antonio and David Emge. As we did last time, we are going to witness. No, let's go track sides. We thought we could start the race in the midfield, but let's actually look at it from this amazing perspective. Look at Jorge Jesus already putting his headlights on. There's a poor start by Diogo Silva, and there is side by side there Del Teller. Darren Head has got a good start. Del Teller up into second place at Darren Head up into third, or is it? It's Diogo Silva. They go side by side. Diogo Silva retains. Oh, and there's contact there. Cavallo is in the middle of it. And is dropping down the order, down to 12th place. Otherwise, everyone going through turns 1, 2, and 3 nicely there. But it's Jorge Jesus that has the early lead, and already 0.6 of a second ahead of Del Teller. Oh, Del Teller, look at that, running wide there. And Diogo Silva was almost getting him. That number 11 is under pressure from the Portuguese driver, winner of the previous 2 races. And look at Jorge Jesus, he is disappearing in the distance. Let's go back and see any... Oh, we seem to have had a couple of moves there, because I remember Sid being in 10th spot. And ooh, there was a coming together with Peter Adrian there. And was it... Well, let me just identify the drivers that are involved in this. And there's a red car, and that's Peter Adrian. And he is alongside Scott Davely. And and Scott Davely spins into the pathway of Peter Adrian. That is a big accident there. And Scott Davely, did he just lose it? It seems to me he just lost it there. We're trying to rewind. Sometimes we get errors when we do this, but that was a heavy shunt. And really they're running side by side. And Scott was trying to leave space for Peter, but ends up running wide and spinning into Peter's pathway, pirouetting through the air. And Scott Davely is in last place. Now what's happening with Scott, because he's not managing to go back into the race. He's now back into the race. Peter Adrian is in is David Emge. 10th is Kev Allen. He had a bit of a brush with Gonçalo Mota that is in 9th place. 8th place is John Scott. 7th is Sid. 6th is Jumbo. 5th is Rob Oldham. 4th is Darren Head. Then it's Diogo Silva, Dale Teller. And let's go on board with Dale Teller. In the end of the first lap, we have 12 laps here at Oulton Park. And, Jorge Jesus is off the track. Jorge is off the track. We are going to get a replay of what happened, but he's there in the background. He spun and he's down into 8th place. Let's look at the replay. The race leader from pole position is not going to lead the first lap. Oh, he just clips the curb. And look at that, he's coming back into the race. Oh, almost getting collected there by a number of drivers. And rejoins in 9th spot. Dale Taylor is going to lead the first lap of this race. Look at the battle for second there. Diogo Silva defending hard from Darren Head. And 4th place is Rob Oldham. Look at Darren Head. He really wants that second place. He wants to have a go at leading this race. And Diogo Silva certainly is feeling the heat there of that Ginetta. Look. Oh, Dale Taylor is off. Dale Taylor. It's the second leader. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What's happened to Dale Taylor, the race leader, the first lap leader? That number 11, he just clips the curve. And off he goes. And look at the battle for the lead there. Side by side racing between Darren Head and Diogo Silva. Side by side racing. Look at this. Diogo Silva on the outside, Darren Head on the inside. And the Darren Head is on. Diogo Silva tries to defend and goes wide. Goes wide, loses a bit of time. Was there contact between the two drivers? Is the question. Diogo Silva rejoins in third. He's under pressure from Jumbo. Let's have a look at the replay here on what happened to Diogo and Darren as they were battling for the lead of the race. Well, they started this battle. It was a battle for third place and then became, after George Chant, the battle for second. There goes Dale Taylor. Diogo Silva is the new leader. He's going defensive there as he leaves the outside for Darren Head. The problem is that this outside is going to become the inside. Now they go side by side here, almost losing it there, Darren, but recovers. Now Diogo is at a disadvantage, but he's trying to, so close, and contact happened, but I think it was Diogo that was going into Darren's line, and not the other way around, as I think that probably, I think Diogo should have kept a little bit more space. He ends up in the grass and loses second place to Rob Oldham. And now here comes Jumbo on Diogo Silva for 4th place. And look at Cavalli, he's up into 7th spot. Incredibly, he is behind the group. Well, it's this group, Diogo Silva, Jumbo, Sid up into 5th, and John Scott. Something has happened to someone. And Gonçalo Mota, what happened to Gonçalo Mota? He's out of the race. He's dead last, and we are going to investigate in minute detail what happened to Gonçalo. This may require us to rewind the race quite substantially, but ideally we would like to know if this was... it was just a disconnection. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, this was just a disconnection. And let's move to somewhere else, shall we? Petradian is in 12th place. We rewound this to the first lap. Hopefully that allows us to see what Jorge Jesus did to overtake both Todd Antonio and David Emge up into 9th place. And this is Sid. He's in 6th place. He's going to be up to 5th. after Dale Taylor bins it, which is just about now. And look at Dale Taylor. He is basically stuck there. He is dropping down the order, and pretty much the entire field is going through. Now Darren Head is now ahead of everyone, and we'll go back to the live action with Darren Head now in the lead of the race, followed by Rob Oldham and then Diogo Silva. But look at that nice little group there. Diogo delayed after that off-track excursion is now in a group that includes Jumbo, includes Sid, John Scott and Kev Allen. Nice moves by Kev Allen there, up into 7th place after starting 11th, and we are still on lap 2 out of 12, so plenty of action to come here in this race. Jumbo under pressure from Sid there, and look at Sid, he is putting pressure on that number 25, the white car. And John Scott, the winner of the opening round, again in a good position. He's in 6th place, and we are still on the 2nd lap, but he may need to worry about, look at this, John Scott now on the inside there of Sid, and he goes to 5th place. He's got the outside line, which is going to become the inside line into turn 1, and I think that's job done for John Scott. As but Sid is coming back at him side by side to turn 1. And a bit of contact there. And look at Kev Allen. He may just jump the two of them. Look at that, excellent racing here. Now it's John Scott that loses the position to Kev Allen. John Scott was basically in 5th place in one moment, ends up in 7th in the next moment. That's incredible. And George Zeus there is has very good pace. After all, he was in pole position for this race. He's going 1:48.823. That's a very fast time. 9th is David Emge. 10th is Peter Adrian. Peter already recovered a couple of places and, of course, benefited as well from Dale Taylor's spin. 11th is Todd Antonio. That number 22. 12th is Dale Taylor, who briefly led this race. And then it's Scott Davely, last of the runners, because Gonçalo Mota has retired from this race. And look at that, the battle for the lead is heating up. Just half a second between Darren Head and Rob Oldham, with Diogo Silva coming back into the mix as well. And Jumbo has dropped a couple of car lengths, but is still in the mix as well. This is very good racing indeed. That number 50 of Darren Head is leading the race. He's had a horrible race too in the previous round. He definitely wants to start scoring wins in this Transatlantic Cup. He's got a win already at Brands Hatch, but otherwise has not been the greatest season for the winter and spring champion. Look at this, that's Diogo Silva there on Rob Oldham. Didn't quite work, but Diogo is coming back into the mix. That number 29 is got a fast car there, is getting into the mix, but Rob Oldham is absolutely defending brilliantly so far, as he is still in 2nd place. And that number 17 is another car that needs a good finish after a couple of disappointments in the previous rounds. Then it's Jumbo. Kev Allen has dropped back a few car lengths, and John Scott is up into 6th place. John Scott is back into 6th place, should I say, with Sid dropping down the order a little bit. He was 5th a while ago. He's now in 7th spot. We'll keep an eye on other battles. Diogo Silva is in 2nd place. Diogo Silva up into 2nd. What's happened here? And this is a mistake by Rob Oldham. At the hairpin there, he takes the wide line, and Diogo Silva goes on the inside. They says, thank you very much. I'll take that 2nd place. And now the battle is on again between Darren and Diogo. Lap 4 out of 12. And any other change in position? I don't think so. Something happened to Todd Antonio. He has dropped back a little bit, so we'll get a replay potentially of moves by Scott Davely and Dale Taylor. Both drivers seem to be ahead of Todd at this point, so we will just and Todd made a mistake in the last corner, did he? He was under pressure from Dale Taylor. and ends up outbreaking himself. Is he going to go to the gravel? Not quite, but ends up losing quite a lot of momentum, and that's how the moves happen. Dale Taylor up into 11th place, and Scott Davely, who had that big shunt on the first lap as he spun into Peter Adrian, is now in 12th. Peter Adrian is up into 10th place, so he's recovered somewhat, and he's also running faster laps than David Emge ahead of him. And then there is a bit of a gap because Jorge Jesus, the pole position man who briefly led this race on the first lap, is trying to close the gap to 7th place. Let's keep an eye on that battle as well. Let's go back to the race lead, and now we can see 5 cars into the same screen, and that's the Transatlantic Cup in your face here as Darren Head takes a bit of a wide line. I'm not sure this is the lagging of the replay or whether it's real, but certainly Darren Head is feeling the heat, and Rob Oldham, Diogo Silva in second, Rob Oldham in third. They are there, and Jumbo is now recovering, only 1.6 seconds away from the leader. He's the 4th place man. Jumbo, 5th place man, is 3 seconds. Oh, look at Diogo Silva. Nice exit there. And now Darren Head is taking the defensive line, and almost another tangle as Darren was a little bit defensive there, as he should. But a bit of a late move, and he's lost a lot of momentum in that corner. Look at this now. This is absolutely brilliant racing. This is what the spectators paid for. Darren Head going defensive again. Diogo Silva on the outside. Doesn't quite work as Darren Head comes back into the racing line. And almost contact again. And look at Rob Oldham. He wants to take advantage of this situation, this battle for the lead. And Jumbo is back again. Absolutely brilliant racing here at Oulton Park between the top 4 again. With, oh, look at that, Diogo Silva is a little bit slow into that corner. Here comes Rob Oldham, and Kev Allen wants a piece of the action as well. Diogo Silva defends and then goes back into the racing line. Rob Oldham on the inside, didn't quite work there, as Darren Head does have quite a lot of pace in this first sector. But now look at this, he's losing a little bit of grip there in that hairpin as they go absolutely nose to tail yet again. Lap 5 out of 12 into the chicane they go, and a good exit is absolutely crucial here. Oh, and someone has gone off. Someone has gone off. It's Rob Oldham. It's Rob Oldham has gone off. Did he have any help, or was this just self-inflicted? And it was self-inflicted. He does not spin. But look at that, he's lost the position to Jumbo, lost the position to Kev Allen, and he's going to lose the position to John Scott as well. John Scott up into 5th place. And here comes Sid as well into 6th place. Absolutely brilliant job there by Sid, and John Scott taking advantage of basically Rob Oldham losing momentum, and it's quite tricky to put this car up to speed. It's not the fastest racing car ever. It does take a while to reach racing speed again. This means that Jumbo is up into 3rd place. Jumbo up into a podium position, followed by in 4th Kev Allen, as Diogo Silva continues to chase the lead of this race. And another lap is going to be complete. That's the completion of lap 5. We are not yet at the middle of this race. Look at this nice exit there by Diogo Silva, but again Darren Head, surely he's going to go defensive. No, he's not, as Diogo has the inside line, but very tricky to complete the pass in turn 1. Look at Darren Head, a bit wide there in turn 1, but didn't quite work for Diogo Silva to take advantage. Let's keep an eye on other battles as well, as Rob Oldham is trying to get back into this race, and he's putting Sid under pressure. Look at Kev Allen there. Kev Allen is already defending from oh no, that was Jumbo. Jumbo made the mistake. And Kev Allen is up into 3rd place. What happened to Jumbo, as he is that's turn 2. Oh, he's going a little bit wide, and he just loses a bit of speed. And here comes Kev Allen and says thank you very much indeed. He lost a lot of momentum, Jumbo. Now it's John Scott, Sid, and Rob Oldham trying to get back into this race. We'll keep an eye on the battle for the lead on that gap. And look at that, it's getting really close, too close for comfort there. Just 0.2 of a second between 1st and 2nd. Another, oh, and Darren Head has made a mistake there. Darren Head has made a mistake. in the chicane. Here comes Diogo Silva now. Diogo Silva side by side racing. Side by side for the lead. Side by side for the lead. Diogo Silva is going to be on the outside at the next chicane. And Darren Head just completes the defense. And now look at that. He's got to run wide. Now can Diogo Silva get back at him? The answer is no. He can't. Let's go back to this battle for 5th place with John Scott now opening up a bit of a gap. Oh, look at this. And Sid is defending big time from Rob Oldham. Rob Oldham trying to go back into the top 5, sorry. Top 6 of this race. That number 20 is doing some good defensive driving there. Let's go back to the battle for the lead again. As, look at this tire wear becomes a problem. That Diogo Silva was sliding there through the last corner. Not the fastest way to go around that particular corner. The top 4 continue to be in the same screen. And meanwhile, we can see that Dale Taylor, well, there's quite a lot of action going on here. So we are going to rewind a little bit as David Emge is under pressure. This is a battle for 9th spot. Dale Taylor and Scott Davely, and something happened to Peter Adrian. Let's see if this was a recent event, because Peter was running ahead of these drivers like Scott Davely, Dale Taylor, and he's lost a lot of time, and this is why, because he has rotated as he was, oh look at that, he was under pressure from Scott Davely. And he had already been passed by Dale Taylor, but now he spins. This is exactly where the first lap incident took place, except that this time there was no contact. Now can he retain? I think he's going to be able to retain 12th place, but David Emge now is under severe pressure from Dale Taylor, the recovering Dale Taylor, who led the opening lap of this race, remember. And Dale Taylor is now in the top 10. Scott Davely in 11th, and David Emge trying to protect that 9th position, but Dale Taylor certainly is coming with more pace. That's as we reach the midpoint of this race, quite a lot of shuffling through the field has happened. Remember, pole position man Jorge Jesus is running in 8th spot, and he's not recovering time at all to the top 7. So, look at this, Dale Taylor now the inside there. On the inside, and there's going to be job done as David tries to protect the outsides, but to no avail, and that number 32 is now down in 10th place. And look at this, Dale Taylor, as she had a moment there. Dale Taylor had a moment. Here comes David Emge again. Dale Taylor has a problem. Out of the last corner, Scott Davely, almost going to be contact there. Scott Davely is coming. Oh, look at this, changing their direction quite violently. Scott Davely now going side by side. No, it didn't quite work, as Jorge Jesus has lost a lot of time. This has not happened in the last lap. It has happened before, but Dale Taylor has not checked out from David Emge, and certainly Scott Davely is also thinking of attacking the other, one of the other American drivers in this field. There are 3 American drivers. David Emge currently leading the American class in 9th spot, but Scott Davely has other ideas. Look at Dale Taylor, he's really not checking out. We'll go back to the race lead for one moment to check how that is going. And it seems to me that Darren Head on lap 7 has actually checked out a little bit, 0.6 of a second. And Kev Allen is now stronger, is emerging as a strong candidate for a win in the second half of the race. Now we've got the top 3 nose to tail. We'll keep an eye on other battles through the field, but we are going to focus on these battles. Diogo Silva is now sandwiched again between 2 drivers, in this case Darren Head, and now Kev Allen. Remember, Kev Allen started in 11th, and he had a bit of a rough couple. Oh, look at this, look at that, look at that. Runs wide, Darren Head runs wide, and here comes Diogo Silva, and Diogo Silva is going to go for the lead of this race, and Kev Allen wants a piece of the action as well. Absolutely brilliant racing. Now they are into the back straight. Look at this, Kev Allen and Darren Head are side by side, and this is Oh, this is what happened with Diogo Silva there ahead. Let's see how that's going to end. As Kev Allen is now on the inside, and Kev Allen takes the position back there, and the contact between the two drivers, and Kev Allen is up into second place. Diogo Silva is up into the lead, and this all happened because Darren Head has had a poor turn one. He runs wide and loses a position to Diogo, loses more momentum, loses a position to Kev. And the top three are again battling. We'll keep an eye on other battles. We can see that Sid now has opened up a gap. Well, quite a substantial gap from Rob Oldham, that is not having a good day yet again. He's done a 2:00, which is around 10 seconds off the pace. So we'll definitely would like to investigate how on earth this has happened and where in the circuit did he have a problem, because he's now lost touch with that group. He's actually being chased by Jorge Jesus, the pole position man, but he said, ooh, was it at the same spot as he had? Ooh, it seems to me it was at the same spot. Oh, it was almost like a carbon copy, as he was, oh, actually he was up into sixth place, because you can see Sid in the background as he prepared to attack John Scott. Oh, it's a carbon copy. It's absolutely a carbon copy, except that this time around he spins. And now he's stationary and he's getting up to speed. And Jorge Jesus is coming at him as he now has lost touch. Rob Oldham has lost touch with the top six. Look at this, David Emge and Scott Davely are still at it, and David is actually not that far behind Dale Taylor, so plenty of good battles through the field as usual. Now let's look at Rob Oldham. He is just 1.5 seconds ahead of Jorge Jesus, but he's lost basically 10 seconds in this incident. So the day not going like he wanted, but well, still quite a lot of the race to go. But oh, look at did we see this? Yes, we saw it. So we're not going to repeat it again. Rob Oldham certainly has had oh, and Scott Davely has overtaken David Emge, so we'll get a replay of that as well, as Scott was coming, well, a bit of a bizarre pass as he was coming on the outside of, not sure there was contact there, on the outside of the last corner, and completes the pass. Now he's on the inside for the start-finish line. So Scott Davely up into 10th spot, up into the top 10th. Behind him it's David Emge, it's Peter Adrian, and it is Todd Antonio running in 13th. Let's go back to the race lead and see how that's going, as Diogo Silva continues to lead from now Kev Allen, and third place man is now Darren Head. Lap 8 out of 12, so 4 to go at the line. Let's keep an eye on other battles, but it seems to me that the closest battle is here at the moment. And then we've got the Dale Taylor, Scott Davely, David Emge 9th, 10th and 11th. Potential, oh no, we've got Rob Oldham and Jorge Jesus are at it now. And these two have a bit of history at Brands Hatch, as Rob and George had a bit of an altercation there. Oh, look at this, Rob Oldham really out of shape there. Really out of shape, and that's going to be an easy pass for Jorge Jesus. Oh, what happened to Kev Allen? Kev Allen is in the lead of this race. Whoa! How did this happen? And we missed it, but no, we didn't miss it, because Kev Allen was coming very strongly indeed. Look at that, Diogo Silva going defensive there. Kev Allen with an absolutely brilliant exit from that fast section. And now in the last corner, he is again on the outside, but Diogo Silva is outbreak by Kev Allen, and there you go. Oh, look at this. Diogo Silva is coming back at him. Diogo Silva, contact between the two leaders. Contact between the two leaders, and look at that. Kev Allen is really defending this lead now. The top three are at it again, and here comes Diogo Silva. Kev Allen just shuts the door on him. Lap 9 already. That's 4 laps to go now. And whoa. The top three have led. Kev Allen has led. Diogo Silva has led. Darren Head has led. Here comes Diogo Silva now. And does he have a good exit? Yes, he's got a good exit. Here comes Diogo Silva now. They've tried to do this side by side. We've had all combinations possible. We had Darren Head with Diogo. We had Kev and Darren. Now we've got Kev and and contact there. Oh, and Kev spins into the barrier. What happened to Darren? What happened to Darren? He spins as well. Yes, he does. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Look at his. Kev Allen was running side by side with Diogo. Well, Diogo is a bit out of shape because he's on the inside and trying to leave room for Kev. Kev is on the outside and he's going to get out of shape because he runs wide. Definitely this corner is not ideal for side-by-side racing. But Diogo keeps it under control. Kev does not, and is almost a carbon copy of Scott Davely and Peter Adrian on lap 1 as he hits Darren. Darren is now drifting. Does he actually spin? Wow, that's a good recovery there by Darren Head. But he has lost quite a lot of time. And Jumbo is up into 3rd place. John Scott is up into 4th place. Kev Allen drops down to 5th and has now Sid for company. And the driver that has benefited the most out of this is Diogo Silva, that now has 3.7 seconds with basically 3 laps to go at the line. Darren Head now has Jumbo and John Scott for company. And quite a big U-turn in that hairpin in terms of these races. Kev Allen was leading. Momentarily he did lead the lap at the start-finish line, but now he's sitting in 5th and he is 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds behind the 4th place man John Scott. As now we are going to have 3 to go at the line. Kev Allen, let's keep an eye on his pace as well, Jorge Jesus is ahead of Rob Oulton. We saw that move. 9th and 10th are Dale Taylor and Scott Davely. And then it's David Emge, it's Peter Adrian and Todd Antonio. So the positions behind 5th place. Look at Darren Head, he's almost losing it there in turn 1. He's trying to get back at Diogo Silva, but so far to no avail, as Diogo actually is increasing the gap a little bit to 3.8, now 3.4. He's not particularly fast in this corner. Diogo Silva lap 10 out of 12, 3 laps to go. It's more like 2.5 now. Look at Jumbo just weaving a little bit there, trying to protect the position, the podium position from John Scott. And John Scott has a chance at the podium here. And look at that. Oh, he's got a big chance. Oh, contact between the two drivers as Jumbo was quite slow through that hairpin, and John Scott was coming with a lot of momentum. So a little bit of pushing and shoving as you expect in this Transatlantic Cup. And the reason why this is a Transatlantic Cup, it's because it's a joint effort between the two BFFs of the international arena of geopolitics. That's of course the United Kingdom and the United States. We already had, well, we're having our 3rd round in the UK after Brands Hatch and Donington. It's at Oulton Park, of course, as Jumbo has actually lost now quite a lot of time behind Darren Head, and so has John Scott actually. But we are now going across the pond to the United States of America, and these Ginettas are going to be seen in Long Beach. Of course, Old Fox Racing PlayStation with this new format will prefer to run street circuits with relatively low power cars like this one. And then we have the season finale at Sonoma. But Darren Head now is coming back at Diogo Silva. The bad news for him is that there are only 2 laps to go and still 3 seconds. Jumbo has lost momentum as well. He has lost a bit of steam as he and John Scott are now sitting 3rd and 4th. And I'll tell you who has lost a bit of steam as well. It's Kev Allen. Kev very strong in the second half of the race. He's faster. Oh, and something happened to Sid. Something happened to Sid. He's done a 2:00. He's done a 2:00 lap, which is code for some bad stuff happened, and this is what happened. It's another classic. We've had this classic, and he was actually quite close behind Kev Allen in 6th place. Kevin Force in 5th. He just runs wide there, and you don't have to run very wide for this to happen. But he is now ricocheting across the track, and he probably should have pressed the reset button there, but he's trying to do it the right way. The reset button is allowed in Old Fox Racing PlayStation, and I'll tell you what else is allowed is George Jesus coming back at now potentially 6th place, but he has also Rob Oldham. And is that Dale Taylor at the back? Is that Dale Taylor? Yes, it is Dale Taylor. Dale Taylor is absolutely flying and flies past Rob Oldham up into 8th place. Sid is still in 6th. But for how much longer? Because he is trying to keep Jorge Jesus behind him, and I suspect we're still going to see quite a lot of battling here in the final few laps. Oh, and somebody's gone wide. That's Dale Taylor. Dale Taylor has gone wide there. Dale Taylor, did he have any help? No. He just decided to go. Oh, look at that. He's almost, that's 10 points, 20 points extra for knocking down those boards. And Dale Taylor bins it, and Rob Oldham is back into 8th place, and Jorge Jesus is now, oh, Jorge is, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, how many times do we have to see the same thing? That's drivers coming on the inside or the outside of this corner side by side, and something bad is going to happen in this case. Actually, Jorge was on the inside, but oh, and he's collected by Sid, who also spins. Oh dear, oh, incident, and oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is just a racing incident, but it's not great for Sid. He was actually, well, to be fair to him, he recognized that George was on his inside. He gave him space. Let's go perhaps on the chase camera here. And he actually let him through, and then, oh, look at this, George in the middle of the track, and then Sid cannot avoid the spin. And I'll tell you who loved this. It's Dale Taylor and Rob Oldham. Rob Oldham now up into 6th spot. So all of a sudden his day is not so bad anymore. Up into 7th is Dale Taylor. Up into 8th is Scott Davely. 9th is George Jesus, and 10th is now Sid. That was just an unfortunate incident. And oh, he's overdriving it a little bit there. Let's look at the battle for the lead as they are about to start the last lap very, very soon. Lap 12 out of 12. We'll keep an eye on this battle because it is the closest battle on the track. And monitoring any other change of positions. We have noticed as well that Peter Adrian is up into 11th spot, swapping positions with David Emge, that is now 12th. And now the last lap has started for Diogo Silva, and can he make it 3 races in a row? He won the previous rounds, both races at Donington Park, and now he's preparing to make a statement about this Transatlantic Cup and keep extending his championship leads, as these drivers are now all on their last lap, and we'll go through the field one more time. Diogo Silva is 3.2 seconds. Look at that, there is a battle there between Jumbo and John Scott, and they are not that far away from each other, and John Scott is trying to still challenge for a podium, as now Diogo Silva is losing a bit of time on the last lap, 2.9 seconds there, but only a few more corners to go. Now he's going up again to 3.3, and it's quite interesting how different drivers, even with the low power car, have different approaches to this circuit, and they all come very close to one another in the end, but sometimes one of the drivers is very much faster in the first sector, only to lose quite a lot of time in the second or the third sector. But Diogo Silva has shown again remarkable consistency to go and now leads the final lap of this race. He is just a few corners away from another victory in this season. It's going to be his 4th win of the season in 7 races, as the other races were won by John Scott and Darren Head. And now this is the final corner. Diogo Silva is going to win the race here in Oulton Park, race 1, round 3. Second is going to be Darren Head, and who's going to be third? It is Jumbo that finishes on the podium. Nice there by Jumbo, and John Scott, excellent fourth. Fifth is going to be Kev Allen. Sixth is going to be Rob Oldham, and he's being chased by Dale Taylor. Oh, and Rob Oldham runs wide in the last corner. Can Dale Taylor still be in the mix? No, Rob Oldham is in 6th. 7th is Dale Taylor. 8th is John Scott. 9th is Jorge Jesus. 10th is going to be Sid. And look at this, Sid and Peter Adrian. Oh, and last, oh, and contact there. Contact, and Peter Adrian is up into 10th spot. That was a bit of a NASCAR move, but we'll get the full replay of what happened, because I also do not know how Sid lost quite a lot more time. We may not have time to get the full replay of this, but I suspect this has happened not a long time ago. And look at this, this battle has been absolutely fantastic, and how unexpected this was. So we almost feel compelled to have a look at, oh, look at that. Whoa, this was awesome. It was the entire lap, we hadn't noticed, but we are going to let's see if it's possible to rewind. Well, Sid lost some time, and now he is well, he's making a small mistake there. His tires are probably gone, and he's thinking, I was in 5th place not a long time ago. Now through a couple of mistakes and also that incident with George, he's down in 10th place. And Peter Adrian, that has been outside of the top 10 the entire race, all of a sudden sees on the last lap a bit of an opportunity. We are going to change to the chase camera from Peter, because we want to have a bit of a good look at that move. And look at this. Oh, and look at that. That was Peter tried to go on the inside, then on the outside, and really Sid is probably struggling a little bit with his tires. And that's the type of racing. It's hard. It's a borderline fine, but you know, we'll take it, because we definitely want racing in Old Fox Racing PlayStation. We don't want random penalties. We don't want people complaining about each other for just little things. This is just racing, and this is the last lap of a race, so we'll give the benefit of the doubt to these guys, because they are battling for 10th place as hard as they would be battling for the lead of this race. So definitely now look at that. That's going to be last few corners, and Sid really struggling with his tires. He's braking a little bit early here. He's running wide, and so is Peter Adrian. But now, does Peter go on the inside or the outside? As he tries to go on the outside and then switches to the inside, and ooh, a little bit. Well, Peter. Well, Sid was still ahead, but no doubt he was also weaving a little bit. And now he's a little bit out of control, and in the last corner Peter Adrian gets it, and that's how the race will end. As, oh, look at this photo finish, and I think it's Peter Adrian that ends up in 10th spot with Sid in 11th. 12th is David Emige, and 13th is Todd Antonio. We had another amazing race in the Transatlantic Cup. They just keep coming one after the other. You can see them all here in the Liberator channel. As we say now, bye-bye. This is round 3, race 1, and race 2 will come in a couple of days. And on Friday, there's going to be more across the pond in Long Beach. See you then.